Go at home, right?
in multiple aspects. Um, I knew you taught because I've met over the years a number of your former students,
Right,
and they
exactly.
all spoke very highly of you. Miss A, I think,
Hmm.
is how you were
Hmm.
affectionately known by many of your students. And you said earlier that's how you know when that they were a former student of
Right,
yours based
right.
on how they
Right.
refer to you. Now, it seemed that there were accolades that were heaped upon you during a period of time while you were teaching,
Hmm.
that led you to believe that not only were you a good teacher in their eyes, but you were recognized as such. Tell us about that.
Okay. I guess I did some innovative things in the classroom. Um, for example, they want you to teach experiments, but no school has money for equipment for 30 kids to do the
Right.
same experiment at the same time. So what I did was I got a set of equipment for every unit. I would have 5 different stations, and I divide the class in groups, and they would rotate around the stations so that everybody had a hands-on. I'd also give a pretest for each unit, and if some kid got 100 on the pretest, then obviously I don't have anything to teach them.
Right.
So what you do is you make up a separate plan for those kids. Um, it was, yeah, and then I also did some memorization too. For every unit, I took the major facts of the unit, and each kid would have to memorize them and stand up individually and say those facts to me.
Put them
And
on the
then,
spot.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Right.
you make them learn.
Sure.
You make
Sure.
them learn. Sometimes you have to make them learn while the rest of it is fun. And then I would lecture a couple of days on a unit, and the lecture would always be demonstrations. So, for example, if you're doing like Newton's laws of motion,
Right.
okay, and there's a demonstration on inertia.
Right.
Objects at rest stay at
Stay at
rest.
rest.
So what you do is you get a batch of dishes, plastic dishes, on a tablecloth, and then you yank
Yank
the
it out.
tablecloth from underneath them, and the dishes stay put. Oh, kids' eyes light up this big, and all of a sudden they know what inertia is. Then you grab a bucket, fill it with water, and you swing it over your head.
Right.
And so that's centrifugal force and whatever. So you just make sure. I made sure I put a lot of effort into the planning, and then the execution was easy. And then each kid is dying to do what I just did.
Sure.
So I asked some questions about what I just did, and give them a bucket and go in the hall, and y'all play with the bucket.
And they would see how science applied to real life
Right, exactly.
applications.
Right.
That was probably pretty innovative at that time. Now I understand that in 1982 you were given what award?
A Virginia State Teacher of the Year.
Virginia State Teacher
Hmm.
of the Year,
And I
1982.
was
See,
it
a
was
lot of people they're learning more about you now than they could have known without us having this opportunity to sit down. So again, I thank you.
okay. Um, I'd also like to say that Johnny P. Johnson was a Virginia State Teacher of the Year, and he, you know, to
Wonderful man.
to be in the same category with him really
Mhm.
feels good. It was also the time of when they were starting gifted and talented programs, and uh, I was put in charge of developing some of the identification, and then in charge of developing individualized programs and independent study projects. And what I was most proud of was that I set up the identification of and a curriculum for kids who were gifted in leadership. So you'd go around to the classrooms and you'd just ask.
Sure.
We'd ask questions like, who in this room would get you in trouble? Or if we were having a party, who would you want to plan your party?
Right.
Things like that. And then we ended up with organizational leaders,
Okay.
like my mom, organizational leaders who know how to
Right.
move stuff like that. And then you had people leaders who knew how to influence people. Well, then you try to get the people leaders to develop organizational skills, and organizational.
To
Right.
get the leadership. Okay.
So in this particular group of kids, I had all kinds of kids, all kinds. I think it was perhaps the most diverse classroom I've ever had, and we did all sorts of role playing, and it was amazing. And then I taught creative thinking at the high school level for 4 or 5 years.
Man, now you said this was an 18-year span
Mm-hmm.
that this happened.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time in your life when you decided, okay, I have accomplished all that I feel that I can accomplish, or all that the educational system
How
will
did I
allow me to
leave it?
accomplish.
Because I loved it. I didn't leave it because I didn't like it. I can tell you what happened.
Well, that's what we want.
Okay,
That's what
all
I'm
right,
trying.
okay.
I want to know what.
Well, they moved the 8th grade from Walker Grant to James Monroe.
Okay.
Okay, they put me at the high school, and they gave me a science class or two, but they wanted me to revitalize the gifted program
Okay.
at the high school level, which meant mainly accelerating kids who were gifted in one subject. Okay, if you had somebody who was really bright in math, they might not be able to write, that kind of thing. But what do you do for this kid? As it happened, and then I designed the creative thinking program. So I had a science, a creative thinking. I had like 3 periods a day where I worked on individualized projects. And then what did they give me to fill the other time slot? Because I had my master's in photography, they gave me a yearbook. That's another job that you should pay double for, whoever that sponsor is. Because every parent is on your case. You have to spell every word right. You want to get every kid in the senior class. You want to at least have a candid of every kid in the senior class. You have to cover golf the spring before. You have to cover baseball the year before.
Sure.
And it's perpetual deadlines.
Right.
And no money. You have to raise the money to support this effort. You have to sell the books. You have to get the kids to cover the events. Anyways, I'd done that for about 5 years. I was really burned out. And my son had just graduated from high school. And I was playing around town. I played 3 nights a week solo at what is now the Otter House.
Okay.
It used to be called the Palms.
Okay.
It was a restaurant downstairs and a little club in the front part of it. The back part wasn't there. Yeah. And I played there 3 nights a week, guitar, to supplement my income. Okay. Because I told you I was raising my son by myself. Right. And my son was sickly. My son is legally blind. So I was doing that 3 nights a week. And then that folded into Sapphire. Sapphire started in 1984.
Now, for those of us who are new to, let's talk about Sapphire. Tell us who Sapphire was.
There were 3 of us in Sapphire. Well, it started out, it was just Ann Rabson and I. Okay. And I was asked to play a solo date at Holiday Inn South. It was the Holidome at the time. And it was in the lounge, and I knew my guitar was not a big enough sound for the room. So I got in touch with Ann and asked her would she play with me. And Ann said, well, yeah, I'm kind of learning piano some now. She was playing piano in a band called Todd's Tavern, which was a country band, but she was playing boogie woogie all the time. So we got together and we worked up a repertoire. And but Ann didn't have a piano of her own. We used to sneak in the college practice rooms. Okay. Finally, Ann was teaching a computer class at Germanna. She had a student whose dad died and needed a makeup test, and the student had a piano. So we went to the student's house to give the test and for us to practice. And the student, when she finished the test, that was Earlene Lewis, she came down and joined in on bass. My goodness. So the 3 of us started playing at the Holiday Inn South. And it went from one, you know how there are doors that partition off your banquet rooms? And we played on Sunday and Monday night. And the first room, they opened the doors. Second room, opened the doors. We were filling 3 banquet rooms on Sunday and Monday nights at the Holiday Inn South. And it just grew. So that was in 84. By 88, I was burned out with the yearbook. And Ann had said that she was going on the road because her daughter was graduating college. My son was just entering college. But I said, well, okay. And we all decided to go on the road together. Now, that's not something you do. I was 44 at the time. You know, you don't go on the road when you're 44. But the cool thing is about blues is that you're more revered with age.
Gotcha.
You know,
An experience
so,
factor.
And also, if it failed, I knew I could go back to teaching because number one, I was a science teacher. Science teachers had a premium. I was black. I'm a woman and a former state teacher of the year. So I knew that I could go back to teaching
Sure.
if I needed to.
Sure.
But we got out there, and at the time we were playing about 20 dates a month, driving in an old van, Ford van. We got incorporated. We did our mailing list. We did our bookings. We did our own publicity. We set up our own sound systems. We did all the driving, sold the merchandise. Did I say that? Probably. We did it all. We did it all. And Ann and I would put in like 16-hour days, making phone calls. Because, I mean, a lot of that stuff is all computerized
Sure.
now. And every month, well, phone calls are cheap now. But every month we'd have a $400 or $500 long distance phone bill.
Right.
And it just grew.
Might as well just come all the way out with it because it was in there anyway. Y'all got about 20 minutes of tape left.
Okay. All right.
Get yours out too. I know you had your over here. See, y'all can do it. See, it's all good when y'all do it. It's fine, but I'm here go. Who's that guy in the back coughing?
Who's that guy coughing? All right.
So, after our first year or so, we had a dear friend and a mentor to us was John Cephas, who was a blues man from Bowling Green, John Cephas. And he got us to play for a regional meeting of the Blues Foundation. It was in Baltimore, and he got us to help open the set. The man who was from the Blues Foundation, which is based in Memphis and is still based in Memphis, he heard us, he liked us, he invited us down to Memphis. It was in November then. And we played at several little places all around Memphis. And we got to play at the dinner.
Okay.
And all of the blues industry, record people, DJs, whoever were there. And we kicked ass.
I hear that.
Yeah, we
I
kicked
hear
ass.
that. That's awesome.
So it ended up eventually we had done our first cassette tape here in Fredericksburg.
Okay.
With Peter Bonta.
Okay.
Yeah, you know
I
him?
remember.
Yeah, okay. And it sold.
Sure.
We were surprised it was a cassette. It sold.
Right.
And then so for the second one, Earlene knew some people in Florida with a little studio, King Snake Studios. And we went down there and we recorded. We pooled our little resources and we went down there to record. And the man who owned the studio said, "Let me take this to Chicago." And he took it to 2 labels and both of them wanted us. And they liked how 3 pieces could fill the speakers, quote unquote. And Bruce Iglara of Alligator Records, which is the independent blues label, he signed us in fall of '89. We started out on the road in '88, like late spring '88.
Okay.
And we were signed, and we got that gig in November of '88. So Bruce signed us the next year after we recorded. And the rest is history.
Well,
we got our first recording from Alligator on Valentine's Day of 1990. We were around my kitchen table, and none of us knew how to open a jewel case.
Oh, jeez. So this.
We couldn't figure out how to open a jewel case.
So the music technology had surpassed its own artists, huh?
Well, I don't know about that.
Where you were open, you had this brand new.
Hey, I still don't have an MP3 player. I don't have an iPod.
Nothing wrong with that.
None of the 3 of us in the van had an iPod.
Now, how would you say at the heyday of Sapphire, how many dates per year were you all playing?
Well, when we were starting out there, we were doing 20 dates a month, so you can do the math.
Yeah.
But there were venues where you could play when you travel from one place to the other. You could get work during the week. nowadays you really can't get much live work
Mhm.
during the week. And then we needed a manager, which is entirely different than a booking
Sure.
agent. Okay.
Absolutely.
So we moved through management levels, and then in 1992 I had 2 primary cancers, and that really, really took a toll. And after I dealt with that, then I didn't know what was wrong with me for the next year and a half, and then
Sure.
it was diagnosed as fibromyalgia.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so it got to the point where I could no longer get in a van and go
Sure.
out for 2 or 3 weeks.
Sure.
Yeah. And now, I mean, later on, we flew everywhere.
Right.
And then we rent a van and
Once you were on that end.
and make a little tourlet.
Right.
We did perpetual tourlets.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Now there came a time when you ladies decided that it was time. You shared with us the
Swan.
the swan song
Yeah.
for Sapphire.
Let me just back up and say that in '92, Earlene left the band,
Okay.
and Andra Faye from Indianapolis, she joined the band. So in 25 years, we only had one personnel change.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's
And I'm
impressive.
proud of that.
That
It's
is
quite
impressive. Longevity is huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially in the creative world.
Yeah. And we were first viewed as a novelty act. We were seen as 3 women.
Okay.
Then we were 3 old women. Then we were 3 old body women, because we were doing stuff of Ma Rainey and Bessie
Sure.
Smith. And then we were 3 women, old body, diverse. We had a black, a Jew, and a part Cherokee. And then it was like, oh yeah, old women, old body, diverse, and they make good music.
See?
But it took a long time before the novelty label got kicked to the curb.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Well, that was some beautiful, beautiful stuff that you all did for a lot of years, and I know you will forever be it'll be synonymous for Gaye Adegbalola and your Sapphire connection.
Right.
But what we should probably talk about is obviously you continue to be connected to music. That will always be a part of you.
Oh, I know what we didn't say is, how did Sapphire end?
Right.
All right. So after 25 years, we wanted to go out with a bang. And in 2009, we released our last CD in February, I think, of 2009, also on Alligator. All of our CDs are on Alligator. And then we did extensive touring that year.
Okay.
And in November, we filled Dodd Auditorium, and we did our final show, had a wonderful program book, and mainly because, I do believe it was because of me more so than the other 2, but I was the oldest one in the group, and right now I'm 67, and I knew I wanted to do some other things.
Doesn't she look fantastic for 67?
Thank you. Yeah, but I feel that fibromyalgia some days. Yeah. But I knew one thing that was unusual about Sapphire was that we were a democracy. There was no leader in the group, and there were no followers. Anybody had the right to veto where we were going or veto the material. When we did a CD, everybody had equal lead vocals and what have you. And we divided the money equally. We never, in 25 years, we never had an argument about money. Never. So it also slows you down, though.
Okay.
And as I was growing in age, I knew I wanted to do some other things, and I knew I wanted to do it faster.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know how many more years are, how many more good years are left.
Well, I wish you many, many more.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So what was the next step for you beyond Sapphire?
Well, the first thing, I've got a house to sell. My former partner and I split up 2 years ago, and it's a little bit hard to regroup now, but as the song goes, life goes on just the same. So I'm going through all kinds of archival stuff and memorabilia. That's going to take a while. I'm working on a children's CD, and I'm working on a Gaye Adegbalola songbook. I think I might call it my audio biography.
I like that.
You're right.
I like that.
And musically, I play solo concerts.
Okay.
I work with Roddy Barnes. We do two different concerts. We do neoclassic blues, which is blues from the 20s and 30s,
Sure.
in our tales, and
Oh, I bet that's beautiful.
emulating Bessie
Yeah.
Smith and those
Yeah.
fine women, my sheroes.
That's right.
And we also do, more contemporary music and more original music. And then I've been working with the electric band, Miss A and the Freedom Band.
Okay.
And writing. I'm perpetually writing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two things that I want to talk about specifically. We can't get past this. Number one, you have a cruise,
Yes.
a blues cruise coming
Yes.
up.
Mhm.
I want you to talk about that.
Okay.
And is that with Roddy?
That's with Roddy.
Okay.
I could bring in it two musicians that I wanted, actually three if I wanted to share my room, but I didn't. See, I might get lucky. But the cruise has been sold out for months, and it leaves out of San Diego.
So people can't even. So our viewers couldn't go if they wanted to go.
No.
So we just telling
sold
them
out.
about it just so y'all will be jealous.
Okay. Yeah. And the next cruise, which is January of 2012,
Okay.
sold out.
Oh my goodness.
This is something.
This is incredible.
These. If you can, it's called the Legendary Blues Cruise.
Okay.
And if you can get on this boat, if you want a real holiday, just get on one of these boats.
That's beautiful. So then what you need to do is make sure you come back and make sure our viewers know when you plan the next one so that they can get in on it before it's all sold out.
You have to be invited. I think this is my fourth one I've been on this particular cruise.
Well, we know.
And this is the cruise.
Well, we want to know about the cruise that comes along. But before we go, I want to talk about your children's CD.
Okay.
The children's song.
Well, I just right quick, I don't know how many minutes we have left, but I had a recent honor that I'm really proud of, and I do want to speak about that.
Please do.
I was named one of the outstanding Virginians by Equality Virginia.
Okay.
Which for my activism for gay lesbian affairs and gay lesbian issues, and that was a big deal. There were 10 of us in the state, and actually the film clip of everybody's activities was really great, and it was mainly based on a CD that I did called Gay Without Shame, and which was also nominated for a Blues Music
I remember
Award.
seeing the cover for that. That was the photography on that was beautiful.
That was done with a little Fuji camera
Okay.
in my hallway with no makeup.
Oh man, I remember it was a beautiful. I mean,
It was
you talk
a
about something
mosaic in the
where
hallway.
exactly when you're bearing your soul and who you are, that definitely came across in the cover for that.
Yeah,
That's
well,
fantastic.
I got to get working on a new cover for the children's CD.
Okay.
Okay, and it's just something I've been thinking about for a while. Many years ago, maybe 10, 12 years ago, I wrote some children's songs, and Alligator, our record label, was thinking about doing a children's CD, and it just never happened. And so I had the idea, and it just grew. So I spent January, February writing, most of March rewriting.
Okay.
And then I started laying down tracks and got a copyright on all my songs in April.
Okay.
I put it in anyway. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So at this point, tomorrow and the next day, hopefully I'll have enough in the can that I'll be able to shop it. And I'm looking for an executive producer, i.e. money.
Okay.
Because I really need, this CD is going to require a publicist. Because I don't plan to really tour behind it.
Sure.
I'm not going to deal with those little children.
Well, having you on our show today has been fantastically eye-opening. To get to know you more than just as a musician, but where you have come from your roots, your passion for your people, your cause, your it's just a beautiful, beautiful opportunity for us to get to see a little bit of the inside of who Gaye Adegbalola is. I just want to thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
It has been an absolute pleasure for me. And I know our viewers have enjoyed this tremendously. We definitely want you to come back again, and so we can hear more about what's going on with you and your activism and your causes and your quest for equality. Fredericksburg, we just want to thank you again. I'm Anthony Campbell, sitting here with Ms. A, Gaye Adegbalola.
Okay.
We've
Or
enjoyed
Gay Todd.
Gaye Todd for those who old school Fredericksburgians. We thank you so much for being here with us. Just hang out and come back and see us again real soon. Thank you, Fredericksburg. I'm Anthony for Fredericksburg Live. We'll see you.
This has been a Video Man production and a So Wise marketing presentation.